Hello and welcome to GameSack. The Wii U was Nintendo's follow-up to the massively successful Wii. It was also Nintendo's first foray into the world of high-definition gaming. Here's a little bit about the console itself. The Nintendo Wii U! The Nintendo Wii U was released at the end of 2012 at an initial price of $300 for the basic 8GB set and $350 for the 32GB version. The console's main feature is the Wii U gamepad. This has a 480p touchscreen that wirelessly receives a video stream broadcast from the console. This can be used as an additional screen for certain games, or even be used to play games without a TV if you're within about 20 feet of the console. Again, depending on the game. It's a little bit better in most areas than the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360, and it was the most powerful video game console in the entire world when it launched, and it would remain so for nearly a year. The Wii U features both analog and digital video output, up to 1080p. Games come on proprietary discs that can hold up to 25 gigabytes of data. The Wii U is also backwards compatible with Wii games and peripherals. Overall, the Wii U received a lukewarm reception by the public and would only sell about 13.5 million units before being discontinued with about 180 physical games. I mean, at least it's in HD, I guess, so let's look at some of the games that they released for the console. And let's start with one that was probably the first game that a lot of people played on the thing. We start out with Nintendo Land, which was included with the 32GB version of the console at launch. The whole disc is basically a bunch of mini-games designed to show off the features of the Wii U, 12 of them in fact. A few of them are designed for multiple players only. You wander around a hub which, at first, you'll constantly be interrupted by Monita, who explains things very slowly because she knows that you're an idiot. She also explains how to play each game, but at least these segments can be skipped. The games are all pretty basic, like this Zelda one where you shoot arrows as you aim your reticle with the gamepad. Or this Yoshi one where you need to draw a line from the start to the finish while collecting all of the fruit, except that you can only see the food on the TV and the line on the gamepad. Or this one where you need to tilt the gamepad to roll yourself through the crazy maze made out of Donkey Kong girders, I guess they are. In the F-Zero minigame, you look at the gamepad to steer while the TV shows a different angle entirely. It also uses the gamepad's camera to show everyone your stupid dumb faces you play. I thought this was a pretty funny concept. Or how about this one where you slide your finger across the gamepad to throw stars, also while using it to aim your reticle. My favorite game on this disc is definitely Balloon Trip Breeze. You use the stylus to create a breeze for your guy. It's not the most precise way to control a video game, but it's still really fun, and I love the visuals and the music here. This is a great game to have included with the console. Nowadays, Nintendo charges $10 for the Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour instead of including it with the console like they should have. And that title is nowhere near as cool as Nintendo Land is. Good God, what has Nintendo become? Here's Mario Kart 8 from Nintendo. That's right, it got its start on the Wii U, and it is also the console's best-selling game. In this iteration of the franchise, you can not only hang glide and go underwater like you did in Part 7, but you can defy gravity in certain parts of most tracks. In all honesty, that doesn't make a huge difference in the actual gameplay, but it does make the track designs a bit more interesting on a visual level, I suppose. And the visuals here are fantastic as usual, as is the music. It even got a little bit of DLC in the form of some extra tracks like this F-Zero course here. This would be ported to the Switch as Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, where it would go on to get a lot more life and updates. In fact, it would end up being the only Mario Kart game on the Switch. Besides the extended life, the Switch version adds a resolution boost to 1080p. Can you tell the difference in this exciting side-by-side comparison? So yeah, overall, this is a fantastic title, but I recommend that you go with the Switch version over this one. I remember this next title being kind of a big deal when the Wii U launched, but I passed it up. I think maybe I had had my fill of zombies by then. Zombie U from Ubisoft was a launch game for the system. I've never played it until now, and I was surprised to find that the game takes itself very seriously. I mean, how could you with a name like Zombie U? Sounds like a zombie university or something, I don't know. Anyway, you and your radio buddy try to make your way through the zombie apocalypse. It uses the Wii U gamepad as a way to manage your inventory. Not only that, but you need to hold the gamepad to look around to scan for things, or even aim certain weapons as you fire them. Overall, it feels like it could be decent, but I didn't end up playing much. That's no hate on the game or anything, it just progresses very slowly and, well, I've still got a lot of other games to play. I do think I'd recommend the game on other platforms like the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One where it's simply known as Zombie. At least there you wouldn't have to deal with the tacked-on motion control Wii U stuff. This is Donkey Kong Country Tropical Freeze from Retro Studios and Nintendo. This is a 2D platformer just like you'd expect with the Donkey Kong Country games, and it's a pretty good one. You control Donkey Kong, who is half donkey, half King Kong. Yeah, I know. You run and jump around the levels in the typical style of the series. There's lots to collect: coins, balloons, puzzle pieces, and yes, bananas. You can take 2 hits before you die. You can also obtain a helper in the form of Diddy Kong, Dixie Kong, and even Cranky Kong. After you get them, they ride on your back and double your life bar's capacity. Diddy will help extend your jump via a thruster. Dixie does the same, only with her hair. Cranky will let you bounce really high, and he can even bounce on dangerous surfaces like spikes. Once you take 2 hits, your helper is gone until you can get them back again. I really love the visuals and the level design in this one. The music ain't half bad either. The only very minor complaint that I have about this one is that you can't turn around on a dime. You've got a fair bit of momentum. Otherwise, this is a good one if you like the Donkey Kong Country series, and how could you not? It was ported to the Switch with a boost to 1080p in docked mode. Here's Yoshi's Woolly World from Nintendo. I talked about this 2 months ago in the new 3DS episode, so I'll be somewhat brief here. Basically, your village of Yarn Yoshis has been turned into skeins of yarn, and now you need to save everyone. The gameplay is similar to Yoshi's Island and Yoshi's Story in that you can swallow enemies and poop them out. Except here, you poop out yarn instead of eggs. You can then use it to target various things in the stage. The gameplay in this one is super fun. Everything being yarn is interesting. It feels like Nintendo's answer to the characters that were in Little Big Planet on the PlayStation 3. Being a Wii U game running in 720p means it looks a hell of a lot more detailed than the 3DS game, which is limited to 240p. That's 480 more Ps! Or a 300% improvement in visual clarity if you prefer. This one's got some good music too. This is a great Yoshi game, which was never ported over to the Switch. This is Animal Crossing Amiibo Festival. Oh dear lord, who thought this was a good idea? Instead of a real Animal Crossing game, it's a friggin' board game. A board game that requires you to use Animal Crossing amiibos to even roll the dice. Now, you'd think you'd get a minigame when you land on a space just like in Mario Party, but no. Instead, you're just collecting happy points. There are some minigames outside of the main game, but certainly nothing special as you can see here. I'm not surprised at all that this one stayed on the Wii U, but I am surprised that it actually got released to begin with. fun game from the eShop is Pushmo World from Nintendo. This series was mostly on the 3DS, but it did get a singular entry for consoles here on the Wii U. This is a puzzle game where you play as a cute blob who needs to make his way to the top of a stack of blocks, I guess they are, to rescue a child. You pull out segments to give yourself access to the top. Once you make it to the top, you rescue the kid. You can also push segments back in or even grab them from the sides to move them. It starts out easy, but it gets progressively more difficult. That's right, just like pretty much any video game ever made. I like it. It's fun to think three-dimensionally to see how you need to adjust the various structures to reach the tippy top. I found myself wanting to keep challenging the next puzzle again and again. It's a fairly unique concept for a puzzle game, but I guess it didn't catch on strongly enough to keep going as a series. I still recommend you go to the Wii U eShop and try this one today. Oh, wait. Next up is a game that I really do enjoy, and it has fantastic visuals, but it also has this one fatal flaw that's just really hard for me to forgive. This is Kirby and the Rainbow Curse from HAL. This is a follow-up to Kirby Canvas Curse, which was an early game on the DS. It plays in a very similar fashion. You draw a line for Kirby to ride using the touchscreen. In this case, it's the Wii U gamepad. In fact, the entire game is played on the gamepad, and you'll never take your eyes off of it. Fortunately, what you see on the gamepad is mirrored in HD on the TV screen. You can tap Kirby to make him spin in order to defeat enemies. Other times you can charge him up to smash through barriers and take out enemies. There's lots of stuff to collect as well. The game uses claymation for its aesthetic, or at least a style that's meant to resemble claymation. I'm surprised that I didn't include this in the claymation episode that I made back in 2020. I've owned this game since it came out, but maybe I just forgot that it existed. In fact, I remember very little of this as I'm playing here today. I think that's probably because you're forced to play the entire game on the gamepad and you can't appreciate it in HD. It's a console game that wants to be a 3DS game. Don't get me wrong, it's not a bad game at all. In fact, I think it's great. The visuals and the music are excellent all around. It's just that, again, you can't truly appreciate the visuals as you play it. It was never ported over to the Switch, but that would be kind of hard to do with the way this one controls. You could actually buy and play Kirby's Canvas Curse on the Wii U here like you can with quite a few different DS games. But it is a dismal experience. You play on the gamepad, of course, and everything is so tiny. And the music seems off. I don't think it's emulated properly. Here's Splatoon from Nintendo. This is a Wii U exclusive game. They never ported the first one here over to the Switch. This is the first time I'm playing any game in this series. I never played it until now because I found the characters rather repugnant looking. Anyway, you are an Inkling. That means you spray ink all over the place. You can also turn into a squid and swim through your own color ink rather quickly. Beware of different colors though, as that's no good for you. At first, the game plops you into a lobby, and I was starting to worry that this was an online or at least multiplayer only game. But there is a lot of single player content here if you look around. You play through various stages to earn money, which are these red orbs that you collect. And I've said this before, anytime you see an orb in a video game, you're gonna want it because it's good. You can use these to power yourself up between the stages. There are various enemies and traps in each level, like these scrubbers, which erase any they erase any ink that you spray down, and they're eager to do it, so you've got to be fast. These sponges can be useful as they grow when you spray them, but be careful because they don't stay big for very long. Sometimes you'll need to find keys to go unlock a vault. And of course, there are diabolical boss fights. These guys, of course, need to be hit 3 times in true Nintendo fashion. The game overall is moderately fun, except for one thing. It uses the Wii U gamepad to aim your shot. At first this feels like it works well, but I found that it fought with me a lot. If I barely adjust how I'm holding the controller in my lap, things go awry and that's not fun at all. You can recenter the camera, but overall I feel that aiming this way just isn't necessary. I also think that the constant camera movement as a result of this helped make me a bit motion sick. The graphics are pretty good, except for the previously mentioned character designs. Everything usually runs at a perfect frame rate. The music is appropriate for such a game, but man, I wish it would change to something else once in a while. Overall, I'm glad I finally had an excuse to try this one out. There were a couple of Super Mario games for the Wii U, like New Super Mario Bros. U here. This is, of course, another 2D entry in the new Super Mario series. Up to 5 people can play at the same time, 4 of them playing the game for real, and the 5th player using the Wii U gamepad to screw around with the environment. This is a great game, but to me they've all started to blend into one another and I have a difficult time telling them all apart. They of course each have their own unique power-ups and whatnot. The graphics are fantastic, with tons of color and plenty of parallax layers. You also get lots of rotation in this one. Musically, it has the typical stuff that's in every new Super Mario game, with the chorus that the enemies all dance to. You really only need one new Super Mario game in your collection, and you can't go wrong with this one, especially when you and friends get together for local co-op. There's also some DLC called New Super Luigi U. Here, Luigi is the star of the show instead of Mario. He jumps higher than Mario, which has been Luigi's thing since Super Mario Bros. 2 on the NES. The good Super Mario Bros. 2, that is. The stages here are the same, but the layouts here are completely different, and they're shorter without checkpoints. To me, that makes them a little easier. This was all about the Year of Luigi, where Nintendo spent a whole year celebrating Luigi with a bunch of different games. Both of these were ported to the Switch as New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, where they got 1080p visuals instead of the 720p you see here, and a couple of extra playable characters. There's also Super Mario 3D World. This one allows up to 4 player simultaneous gameplay. It's a follow-up to Super Mario 3D Land, which was on the 3DS, which I covered last year. This one's main costume is the cat who can claw at enemies and climb walls. This one's a lot of fun, and the various stages are a joy to work through. I love that it saves after you beat any stage. That's right, you don't have to beat a castle first. The visuals are incredibly colorful and just beautiful. The sound is typical Mario stuff, but it's good. This one is highly recommended to everyone. It was also re-released on the Switch as Super Mario 3D Land plus Bowser's Fury. A lot of you know that I suck at puzzle games, or honestly, quite a lot of different games. And that's fine. I also suck at this next series, but this particular game I found myself kind of getting into it. It's Dr. Luigi. This is another game made in the exciting Year of Luigi series. I tell ya, I really suck at Dr. Mario. Like, badly. But I suck less at Dr. Luigi for some reason. I still suck though. This has your regular game mode that you'll find in any Dr. Mario game like you see here. There's also Operation L. These are all shaped like the letter L, or I guess maybe they could be the number 7, and they're mostly a single color. This mode is ridiculously easy. That's right, even for my sorry ass. You have to really get to the higher levels for any sort of challenge to appear. I guess this might be a good mode to start your newborn infants on. Then there's Virus Buster. Here you play the game on the gamepad's touchscreen. You physically guide each pill where you want it to go. I kinda like this mode. You just need to be careful not to accidentally tap a piece when you mean to grab it, because then it rotates and you didn't want it to rotate. I found that just not sucking is a good way to avoid this. All in all, this is a fun title, and so far my favorite experience with a game in this series. Here's Super Smash Bros. For Wii U. Once again, I know very little about this series, but I wanted to try the Wii U version here as it was released with the 3DS game which I played not too long ago. To me, this seems a lot easier to win matches compared to what I played with the 3DS game. I still don't care for the analog controls as they don't feel very precise, but I imagine this is something that you just get used to if you play it a lot. Hell, you can use the 3DS as a controller if you want. Since I was winning, I enjoyed this one a lot more. Funny how that works. But I know that the game starts out being pretty soft on the player, so I turned up the difficulty a little bit. I still did decently, I think. Except when I got to this giant hand, which I assume is from the Star Trek episode, Who Mourns for Adonis? But this one actually kinda makes me want to learn and get better. I'm probably too stubborn though, so don't hold your breath on that one. The game looks really nice though. In fact, one of the reasons I wanted to show it in this episode is because it's one of the few games on the Wii U that runs natively in 1080p and also 60 frames per second. They did a great job on a technical level with this one. Maybe the gameplay too if you're into the series. You tell me. In the last episode of GameSack, I talked about Sonic Boom Rise of Lyric from Sega since it's the black sheep of the series. So in this episode, I figured I could talk about Sonic Lost World, also from Sega, of course. And what is this? A modern implementation of Sonic that I actually like? Yeah, I think I might. At first I was a bit put off though, but that didn't last long. You're running around stages that you can rotate, which reminds me of the canceled Sonic Extreme game that was in development for the Saturn. It also reminds me of Super Mario Galaxy. You run straight ahead and work your way towards the goal. Sometimes you transition to a 2D view. Well, I should probably say a lot of times you transition to a 2D view. What put me off originally was just how slow Sonic moves in this game. It turns out that you need to press and hold the ZR shoulder button to make him go fast. So basically, this is just like holding B in Super Mario Bros. For the entire game, as you do. Well, the 2D Mario games anyway. Thankfully, the ZR button is rather comfortable to hold down. The other thing that made me kinda sad, at least for a little bit, was the way the homing attacks work. Either they changed how it works slightly for this game, or I'm just way out of practice when it comes to the homing attack in Sonic games. But nevertheless, I figured it out and it was no longer an issue for me. Lastly, the spin dash has its own button like Rise of Lyric does, but here it's the ZL shoulder button, which I feel is way better than the X button in the other game. Otherwise, I love the variety here, and I wanted to keep playing and playing, but I still have a lot of other Wii U games that I need to play for this episode. The graphics are fantastic for this generation. It has actual color, and colors other than brown were starting to finally come back into video games during this time. Even the music is mostly pretty good. There's also a 3DS version and a PC version. Nintendo helped to finance this one a bit, so that's why it's exclusive to the Wii U when it comes to consoles. Check this one out if you can. There are a couple of Star Fox games on the Wii U, like Star Fox Zero here. This was developed by Platinum Games. This does its best to be action-oriented like the good Star Fox games that were on the Super NES and the Nintendo 64. In fact, it's kind of a remake of the Nintendo 64 game, which itself was kind of a remake of the Super Nintendo game. Except here, they were obligated to use the Wii U's gimmick, and that's the screen on the controller. The controller has an ever-present view of the cockpit, though you can swap between this and the TV picture by pressing the minus button. You also move the controller around to aim your reticle. The character dialogue only comes through the Wii U gamepad speaker. I just turned it all the way down, I don't care. You've got your on-rails action as well as some free flying action, and each stage is divided up into various phases. Usually I'm fine flying around looking at the third-person view on the TV screen. It's not great, but it's playable. Unfortunately, the game will sometimes force you to look down at the gamepad as the camera angle on the TV screen starts moving around or stops making sense. This is extremely jarring. Also, if you wear glasses, I hope your TV is as close to your face as the gamepad is. Even with progressive lenses, looking back and forth is a pain in the ass. It really makes you wonder what Nintendo was thinking when coming up with the Wii U. On a good note, the graphics are excellent, some great stuff here. The music is also good, though a bit forgettable. But man, this could truly be a fantastic game if it were normal instead of having the unnecessary Wii U gamepad stuff tacked on. I mean, you've got to admit, it'd be a hell of a lot better. Such a missed opportunity here. Bundled with this on a separate disc in its own case is Star Fox Guard, also by Platinum Games. Oddly, this is a tower defense game, but a unique one. There's a base that's mining for materials with a big old laser drill at the center. Robots try to invade the base to destroy the drill. For some reason, the base has no doors or anything like that, only a bunch of guns. You look at all of the cameras to see which ones have robots approaching. On the Wii U gamepad, you tap which camera that you'd like to switch to, and then you fire its laser to stop the robots. You can even slide the cameras around if you want. If a robot makes it to the tower, you lose. Defeat enough robots, and you win. I've got to admit, I did have some fun with this one, but I think it wears off its welcome in about 15 minutes or so. Still, it's good to boot up every once in a while for that 15 minutes of enjoyment. I had never even heard of this next game before, until I did. Well, actually, I'm pretty sure I knew what it was back in its own time, but it just doesn't stand out very much, so I likely forgot about it. Anyway, here it is. This one's called Devil's Third, and it's from Valhalla Game Studios and Nintendo. It's a violent third-person cover shooter with lots of swearing. I bet Nintendo's Howard Lincoln is rolling in his grave. Oh, he's still alive? Hopefully nobody tells him about this game. Your first task is breaking out of the Guantanamo Bay prison. This is fairly easy because you're a lone badass who plays by his own rules. You even get your own drum set in your prison cell. That's how awesome you are. You just know this guy's a complete badass. You eventually team up with the US military, who, of course, are complete weaklings compared to you. This game plays similar to other such games from what I've played so far, though you can steal the souls of some defeated enemies via melee attacks. The story of the game's development, however, is probably a little bit more interesting than the game itself. Valhalla Studios is composed of a lot of ex-staff from Tecmo's Team Ninja, including Tomonobu Itagaki. The game originally started development on the Xbox 360, and Microsoft was going to publish. But then they backed out because Microsoft's going to Microsoft, and THQ became the new publisher. One little problem though, they went bankrupt not long after that. Valhalla Game Studio was able to get the rights back from THQ. They then partnered with a South Korean publisher who also collapsed. Eventually Nintendo picked it up because, as Tomonobu Itagaki put it, Nintendo couldn't make games with strong online capabilities themselves. I of course can't test the online functions here because the servers have been shut down for 10 years. Hell, they were only active for a year before they were gone. This game didn't see a very wide release in North America, and copies can go for over $200 on eBay. On a sad note, this would be the final game helmed by Tomonobu Itagaki, who died in 2025. Rock on, my man. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild was released the same day as the Switch launched, and that console also received a version of this game. I couldn't get a Switch, so I picked up this version here. And oh man, did I ever fall in love with this game right away. You start out waking up in a cave, as you do, and wandering throughout the game's world without much in the way of offense or defense. But as you explore more and more, you'll find stuff that makes you better in all areas. What you want to do is find the shrines. These are puzzle-oriented obstacles that you need to conquer, and once you finish one, you get an orb. Once again, anytime you see an orb in a video game, you want it. In fact, you want as many orbs as possible. You take these orbs to a statue and exchange them for more life and more stamina. Now, just what in the ever-living hell is stamina? Well, that's that little green circle that expires as you run. It also expires as you climb. So adding to your stamina meter really helps in your exploration. And there is a hell of a lot to explore here. It's awesome. I had to explore until I couldn't go any farther in all directions, and doing this takes quite a bit of time. You can climb pretty much any surface. I absolutely love this kind of freedom. Of course, you still have various boss battles, and some of them can be frustrating at first. But keep trying and you'll get it, eventually. Just don't get mad, trust me. One thing that everybody without exception loves about this game is how your weapons break. That's right, they'll break after being used too much and you'll have to find something else. Honestly, I didn't care for it at first and it can be kind of annoying, but hey, I got used to it. One thing that I personally find annoying in most games is combining items and cooking. In fact, I usually can't stand it. But here it somehow works for me. I don't know why. They made it fun. I'll be honest and say that I've forgotten a lot about this game. The footage here that I recorded years and years and years ago makes me a bit wistful for the game though. I remember that as I was playing it, it was probably one of my favorite games that I had ever played. Even after I beat it, I kept exploring, finding all the Koroks and other things and completing it as much as I could. But once I finally put the game down after months and months and months of playing it, I never had a desire to play it again. I was satisfied with my experience and still am. When the sequel came out on the Switch, I didn't have any interest because I know that a game like this requires a gigantic investment in time, and to me that can feel absolutely overwhelming before I start a game. But wow, I do not regret spending the time that I did with this one at all. It's pretty much identical to the Switch game, though it loads a hair faster from what I hear, and that's why speedrunners prefer this version. Or at least that's the way it was back then. What's funny is that I have a friend who loves Zelda, but he couldn't get into this game. I think there are probably a lot of people like that. As such, I do think this one is a bit divisive. As for me, playing through this one made the entire Wii U console worth it. That wasn't the only Zelda game on the console. A year before Breath of the Wild, we got The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess HD. This, of course, is an HD remake of the game that was originally on the Wii and the GameCube. After a series of shenanigans, you go back and forth between the normal world and a Twilight realm. You can transform yourself into a wolf. You're also accompanied by the mischievous Midna as a request from Zelda herself. The HD graphics look pretty good, and we get it in widescreen as well. Well, I mean the Wii version was also in widescreen, but the GameCube one wasn't. The HD version here is still exclusive to the Wii U at the time I'm making this video. And before that, we got The Legend of Zelda The Wind Waker HD. This, of course, is an HD remake of the GameCube game. I haven't played this one very much, not even the original. I wish I could tell you why, as I've always enjoyed the game's aesthetics. Everyone else was always complaining about all the sailing in the game, so maybe that kind of scared me away from playing it too much, I don't know. Here, the graphics, of course, look even better, with more resolution and the wider screen. These Zelda HD remakes are 2 of the 31 or so games on the console that run in a native resolution of 1080p. You can also get an HD version of this on the Switch 2 Online expansion pack thingy, but it's not in widescreen. Besides the aspect ratio, can you tell the difference here? Up next is another exciting puzzle game. Will I suck at it? Not really, surprisingly. This is Captain Toad, Treasure Tracker. That's right, Toad in his own game, though he doesn't get an entire year like Luigi does. Suck it, Toad. You play as Toad in this puzzle game, and your job is to track treasure. In any given level, you need to rotate the camera so you can see where Toad can move. This is good and all, except that the up and down are reversed from what I'm used to. No big deal, it's easy enough to get used to here. Your goal is to get the star in each level while collecting as many gems as you can along the way. You'll need all that you can get because you can't advance unless you have enough. Some stages require you to use the Wii U gamepad to touch parts of the level to move them. Or maybe spin a wheel to rotate a thing. Or even to aim as you toss onions, I guess they are, at enemies and obstacles. I like some of the ideas in here, like controlling two Toads at the same time with a single joystick. And you need both in certain places to advance. There's even a gravity switching mechanic sometimes. I didn't think that I'd enjoy this one very much, but hey, it's pretty fun. It's also on the 3DS and the Switch. Here's NES Remix. This is basically a few NES games that you can choose from where you complete specific challenges in each, like jumping over 3 barrels in Donkey Kong. The faster you do them, the more stars you get. Stars will unlock the remix stages for you to play where the graphics are usually enhanced in some way. NES Remix 2 is basically the same thing but with some different games. It feels a lot easier to get 3 stars in any given challenge in this one. Both of these are fun little diversions for sure. I can't recall how much I spent on these back in the day, but I sure hope that they were cheap. I still have the receipt. Oh, $23.99. Not bad. This is Mario Tennis Ultra Smash from Camelot. The only real reason that I'm showing this one is because it's still a Wii U exclusive. It was never brought to the Switch. As a tennis game, it's fine, I suppose. The gameplay is smooth and responsive. It's not a normal, boring tennis game though, as you can power yourself up via mushrooms. Remember kids, when people offer you mushrooms, take them! It makes your smashes even more smashing. The graphics are decent, but the music is repetitive. Oh well, it's tennis. It's Pikmin 3 from Nintendo. I guess you could say this is a real-time strategy game. Anyway, it's Pikmin. You have an army of them and you pluck them from the ground. You use them to get objects, build bridges, shatter walls, and basically anything that you need done. Because you can't do a damn thing yourself. Some tasks require more Pikmin than others. You can grow more by feeding the Pikmin pot, and you can have up to 100 of them in tow. It's similar to the previous 2 games, except this time there are 3 astronauts. You can toss them and then they'll control the Pikmin to accomplish tasks. You also have new types of Pikmin like the rock Pikmin here. They can break glass stuff just like you'd expect. Of course, you still murder the same creatures that were in the previous 2 games while they sleep, because you are the bad guy. The visuals are fantastic, but they usually are in Pikmin games. This, of course, got ported to the Switch. This is Fast Racing Neo from Shinen Multimedia. It's the 2nd game in the series, and is pretty awesome. It's a racing game heavily inspired by F-Zero GX on the GameCube, except here you switch phases from blue to orange and back again. You get a boost to speed if you hit the same color boost pad. There are also jump switches you can use if you're the same color. Of course, the colors of orange and blue were chosen to celebrate the Denver Broncos. That fact should be listed on Wikipedia. In addition to the colors, there are little orbs all over the place to collect. And you remember what I said about orbs. These fill up your boost gauge, which you can use at your discretion by pressing the right shoulder button. That way you can go really fast. The course design isn't quite as good as F-Zero's, and the phase switching doesn't do much to excite me, but damn, the game is still super fun. The graphics are extremely good, and the music kicks ass. I'm sure that the music helps me to like the game even more. Of course, this got a port to the Switch as Fast RMX. Oh wait, that's a sequel, you say? Well, it does have all of the courses from here, plus a few new ones, so that sounds like an enhanced port to me. Regardless, check this one out if you like futuristic death sled racing games. This one is Paper Mario Color Splash from Nintendo. This game is exclusive to the Wii U. Nintendo never bothered putting it on the Switch. So Shy Guys are stealing the world's paint and you need to recolor it. Unlike the first several games in the series, this one really isn't an RPG. Yes, you still have battles and yes, you can level up, but that's as close as it gets. The world is now divided into different courses like a regular 3D Mario game. At the end of each course is a star you need to get, and courses can have more than one star. You can recolor parts of the landscape and other things by hitting X. You don't have unlimited amounts of paint though, and you can refill it by winning battles or smacking flowers and stuff with your regular hammer. The battles use the card system. This is all done on the Wii U gamepad. You choose a card that you want to use for the attack and slide it into place. Then, you may need to fill it with paint to be more effective. When you're ready, you flick it like a dried up booger to use it. Then you do your move on the TV screen and repeat the process if you need to. You also use the gamepad to do cutouts in parts of certain courses to proceed. This is all pretty neat for a few times, but it does get old. That said, the game is still rather enjoyable. I love the paper and the cardboard style of the visuals. That's right, the Wii U has a game based on yarn, clay, and now paper. I don't think there's any other console that can make that claim. This is Xenoblade Chronicles from Monolith Soft and Nintendo. This is an adventure game with RPG overtones. The game's story has nothing to do with the first game. Basically, civilization left the Earth in the 2050s. I don't know where we got all this technology from by then, but one of the lifeboats crash landed on this strange planet. Now you need to kill everything in sight and do certain tasks, yada yada yada. The gameplay is similar to the first Xenoblade Chronicles game. You run around a huge area and you can target various creatures in order to end their worthless existence. That's right, we're gonna kill you. You shouldn't have been alive right here, stupid thing. The battles are also quite similar to the first game. You have a bunch of commands that you can cycle through on the bottom of the screen that you can execute when they're ready. Meanwhile, you're free to move around to try to avoid the attacks or position yourself at the enemy's weak spot. The game is ridiculously long, around 70 hours or so. If you don't have any other games, this one will keep you busy. The game had an online multiplayer component and it really wants you to connect. Of course, you can't do that anymore with this version. At least the game still works offline, but it really does not like that at all. If you dare to play offline, it says offline in the upper left corner of the screen at all times for the entire game. Seriously, Monolith Soft and Nintendo hate you if you play offline. The graphics are pretty damn good for the Wii U. The world to explore is huge and there is a lot of detail everywhere. You even get a day and night cycle. The music is something. This is also the biggest game on the platform, clocking in at over 29 gigabytes if you install the DLC. I mean, it's kind of sad compared to 8 meg Death Duel on the Genesis, but hey, it's something. This game, of course, also got a port to the Switch. You can still play that one online, for now.
What? Or if they've seen us. We should weaken them just to be safe. Shadow Strike! Fire Carnival! Fly Knight! Move in and do some damage.
And there you go, the Nintendo Wii U. Gotta admit, there were a lot more good games on the machine than I remember. It's no surprise that they ported so many over to the Switch so that they could get an actual audience. The console itself, though, wasn't executed or even conceived very well. The screen on the controller didn't make games more fun. I felt it was more of a hindrance than anything. So what do you think of the Wii U? Let me know. In the meantime, thank you for watching GameSat. Hey there, identical looking friend. I've got something really cool. Oh, what's that? The Nintendo Wii! We have a Wii? I have a Wii. Well, I have a Wii U. A Wii me? No, a Wii U. We have a U? No, I have a U. You don't have a me. Actually, I do have a me that I created on my Wii U. You have a U on your Wii me? No, I have a me on my Wii U. I don't have a U on my Wii. I don't want to have a me on your Wii. I don't want you on my Wii. Why would you want a me that's not on a Wii U? Actually, my Wii has a me. Yes, but the me on your Wii is not on a Wii U. You're not on my Wii, but my me is. But you can transfer your me from your Wii to a U. Oh, a Wii U. Why didn't you just say so?